All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Natty News Daily. It's Dan and James, no Leroy, and this is going to be an interesting episode. Obviously, we don't have a guest with us, but if you guys have been following Dan himself or a lot of our podcasts, you'll know that Dan competed and prepped throughout this entire year. So this is going to be a little bit of a recap of Dan, throughout his prep, his thoughts. We're going to try and stay a little bit objective. Obviously, that's a little hard to do since it's Dan reflecting on Dan. So that's kind of my job as moderator here. But we're just going to banter a little bit and see where it takes us. I want to pick his brain on how things went, his thoughts, because he did compete in a lot of different organizations, as well as competed in different classes within different organizations. So let's hit it, Dan. Take it where you want.
Yeah, I don't know where you want to start. We'd probably just start from the top or from the beginning. I mean, I started prep. Really, I started dieting like very beginning of the year, like I don't know, was it January or whatever? I stripped off like close to 20 pounds in like 10 weeks, something like that, a mini cut, got myself into decent shape. And by about May, and then right around May, I really started prep. Work with Josh Bradshaw, who's awesome. He's my boy. And had plenty of time from there. I mean, dieted started the diet in May, really like a contest diet at like it was like 172, something like that. And then I knew I was going to be targeting the Orton Cup. That was a big show for me. With my OCB Pro card, that show's in Pittsburgh. It just made sense. So that was I forget the exact date, but it was around the middle of October. So I knew I had plenty of time to get in shape for that. I was in good shape already. My upper half was pretty much in almost at the beginning of prep, but had lower half had a ways to go. So knew I was going to do that in the middle October Yorton Cup, and was going to mix some other shows in there. I tossed tons of different shows around ideas, but work was crazy during that too, which was fun. Had a lot of travel through like September and stuff like that. But I opted my first show to be the Mr. America, which I jumped straight into the fire. Admittedly, big show. Also chaotic because
and for those listeners, this was your pro debut, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, I had plenty of time leading into it to get into decent shape. But it was a chaotic, like I said, with work. I literally had got home from a work trip, like a week-long work trip, and left for Atlantic City the next day. So it was like just go. Lots of, prepping food while I was on the road, all that sort of stuff, but managed it okay. Had a little bit of a stressful peak week for that show. That was a Saturday show. Had a stressful like Thursday driving through Philly. I timed my trip wrong. Well, I mean, I got home and then the next day I had to leave, and I didn't really think that hard. I had been taking the last like 3 or 4 months up until like the last week or two. I've been taking things like day by day. So, but didn't really think about that, and got caught in Philly rush hour traffic and got into Jersey at a food shop, got to bed late. It was just stressful as shit. And then I was getting harassed with stuff. I don't need to get too far into it. Regardless, it hurt my peak a little bit. Like, I set like what did I drive out on Thursday? I look like shit on Friday. Like I look like shit on Friday morning. I woke up. I'm like, man, I like, it's just everything looks just soft. I just look soft, and I was like, shit, this is not good. And I'm looking at myself. I'm like, God damn it, this is my pro debut. Like, I feel like I'm out of shape. This is not good. No bueno, no good, no go. I mean, and then I calmed down a little bit by Friday, just kind of de-stressed a little bit. Like I said, there were a lot of things going on. Like we don't need to get too far into it, but the stress definitely impacted the look quite a bit. But was in close contact with Josh the whole way, and he made sure he righted the ship, and not that we really made any major changes of plans, but
well, I mean, that's one of the benefits of having a coach, right? Even just having that extra set of eyes, or even if you don't have a coach, have someone, if you're a new competitor for sure, or even a lesser experienced competitor, have someone that you can just bounce things off of, send photos to. I mean, I'm right there with you. Like, you can wake up and just be like, I have royally screwed up. And then just, you need someone else saying like, no, you're going to be okay. Just like wait it out, give it time. The body will do it for you. Yeah.
Yeah. So that day of Friday, de-stressing, woke up Saturday, and the look was way better, like way better. I was like, okay, we're in okay shape. I mean, I was still like, this is a pro show. Like, I need to be in shape. Like, so yeah, I mean, got to the venue, did the athletes meeting, which we don't need to get too far into that, but there was some chest thumping in that, but that's an aside. Nothing too crazy, but Jeff covered it a little bit in his video if you want to go to his page. But yeah, and that was a 1 p.m. show, or the pro show was at 1 p.m. So went to the athletes meeting, went back to the Airbnb, went back to the venue. And I was, looking at myself, backstage, and saw myself in the bathroom like before, like, I don't know, like, actually I wasn't going on until like, I don't even know, like 3 or so, because we were like open body. I did open bodybuilding in that show, I should say that. And we were like the last category. So I actually showed up at the venue at 1, because the pro stuff started at 1, but we didn't go on till like 3:30 or something like that. But anyways, I looked at myself in the bathroom at the showboat, and I finally looked at myself. I'm like, okay, we're gonna be okay. We're gonna be okay. And I was just like, okay, we're good. So yeah, I mean, overall that show, we went on about 3:30 through prejudging. I was a little disappointed with they ran it didn't really affect me per se, but they ran so they obviously put everyone out in the line, ran everyone through a little bit, and then broke it up into two like a first, second call outs. I do wish they would have they basically ran us through like the relax shots, like real quick, and then immediately had two groups, which I don't know how good of a look they got at guys. I was in the second call outs. Honestly, I didn't expect to be in the first call outs. I did not deserve to be in the first call outs. Just to be open about it, I wasn't expecting it. But I'm sure there were guys that were on the bubble. It was a class of 15. So guys that were probably around, in that 7 to 10 range, whatever, 6 to 10 range. I'm sure there were guys that were disappointed that it was like, okay, I barely got a look, and I got bumped into the, second call outs, at least,
right.
But that's an aside. So yeah, did that. My brother, my neighbor growing up, Scott, came out to the show. So that was really fun. Got to pose in front of them, and they got right up in the front of the audience, which was awesome. And really appreciated that they were there too. There to support. I knew I held my own too. I mean, I'd seen myself backstage, and I got circled around. I felt pretty confident in general. But yeah, went through prejudging, got off stage. I was honestly very emotional. Just like the fact that I had made my pro debut, like I've been dreaming about this for years. And I knew I looked the part too, which was kind of part of my main goal was the season, just to fit in, like show that I deserved to be on a pro stage. I mean, I don't know if I've covered it here, but we've talked about it. Like when I won my pro card, like the show I won was weak. Like I it was a weak show. So I felt like I had something to prove. But came in, I mean, in general, a lot better than I was for my debut. I was tighter than I was in my last show of 2018. And I was 7 pounds heavier. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
I added
Significant more mass. Yeah.
about 10 pounds of stage weight because, yeah, 7 pounds heavier and leaner. Like I had, you know, glute lines, which
Mm-hmm.
takes heaven and earth for me to get glute lines. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so, you know, got a little emotional afterwards. You know, which I don't get that emotional in general, but, you know, it was, it was awesome. And there was, you know, a lot of cool guys around. You know, Angela was there, Hesh was
Mm-hmm.
there. So, had a lot of fun, which was fun, you know, meeting like Angelo for the first time and I'm crying. So,
Yeah.
but,
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean,
so
that's what the sport's about, really. Like,
yeah,
not everyone's gonna win, not everyone's gonna place well, but like you do it because you love to do it
yeah,
and for the experience and then for the community, right? Like I've
exactly.
met, I mean, look at us, like, you know, us and Leroy and, you know, all the people we've met just from podcasting, not even
Oh
just
yeah.
going to the competitions and stuff. So
It's
yeah,
been
it's
amazing. And yeah,
mhm,
the and to that note, like the camaraderie backstage, like shooting the shit with Brandon Wattis, who's an awesome dude. You know, Mike Pucci, who's an awesome dude. I met Jeff Cook through there. Didn't chat much actually at that show, like a little bit.
mhm,
But we've chatted quite a bit since. He's a good dude. Phil Ricardo Jr. has like an energy to him, like this warmth that he just radiates. Like
mhm,
he's a tremendous guy. Like so many great guys. And that's kind of what I you know picked up on it that this shows that there's you know a lot of these guys are just genuinely good
mhm,
people. Which I think at the top level you kind of like these guys have kind of proven themselves, so to speak. I mean they're fending for you know top placements, but you know they don't you know they've made it to pro level and they're good pros. So
mhm.
um, but yeah, genuinely, you know, deep down, you know, good dudes. That show did run pretty late. It ran till like 9 or 9:30, which I kind of felt bad for Matthew, my brother, and Scott. But it was a
Mhm.
great show. I mean, deep lineup and um,
Mhm.
um, I don't know if you have any other questions. I mean, I
No,
placed, you know,
we kind of talked about that show in general being, I mean, I could see that show growing each year in popularity
yeah,
to be one of the biggest natural bodybuilding shows in the
I think it
US.
has that potential. Dude, the
Mhm.
lighting and photography were on point. Like
Mhm.
the flag in the background, man, it was cool.
Mhm.
It was cool.
That venue itself is pretty cool. I mean, that's where I competed
Yeah.
in my first show. It wasn't the America at that point, but yeah, that Showboat's an interesting place. I love the fact that the venue's in the hotel because it's a casino and hotel, so you don't have to travel and worry about some of the logistical stuff. I know you stayed at an
I stayed
Airbnb,
in
but
an
like if
Airbnb, but
yeah,
yeah.
if you're in the hotel, like literally, I was in a room and I went down 2 levels and boom, there's the venue, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and
it's
it's a
so
legit
easy.
hotel. It's not like a
Mhm.
rinky dink.
Yeah.
Like the venue that they have in the hotel is legit. I mean, the lighting was like, you know, the best
Yeah.
of it, which is funny
Yeah.
because those photos from that show are my best photos.
Yeah.
But
Fantastic area. Yeah, I think, and the
highly
fact
recommend that show.
that it
Yeah.
has such a good title, right? Like everyone wants to be Mr. America.
Yeah.
And the fact that it is an unsanctioned event, it kind of sets itself
It
aside from
it
everything.
has that draw.
And it pulls people from all over, everyone fighting for that title, which is interesting because if you know, the OCB has made some guidelines about their pros not being able to compete in unsanctioned events,
You want to know my
which
opinion? And
I'd
I'm
love
going to
to
be
know your
crude.
opinion.
I actually don't. I drop f bombs off the podcast, but on the podcast, fuck the OCB for that.
Yeah.
If you're thinking about doing it, compete at Mr. America and make them ban you.
Mm-hmm.
That's my
Test
take.
them
I'd say that
because
as a
that's
pro. They're not paying you, man. Like
mm-hmm.
they're not paying you. Like
Yeah, yeah. We could go on a whole podcast
I might
talking
trigger
about
somebody
the
with that.
the certain restrictions that organizations try and place on their athletes. If a pro athlete were like the true pro in the classical sense, where you have contracts, paid contracts, and obligations, I can see that, right?
Yeah,
Because you're a professional, you're representing the organization, and we still are. Well, not we, because I'm not a pro. You still are, right? As your pro, but there's no financial incentive, there's no obligation. So what's to hold you to not compete and try
yeah,
and make a name for yourself and just enjoy the experience, right? Like
exactly.
there's no benefit, right? If any organization truly believes in their testing practices, why does it matter what the other organizations are doing?
Exactly.
Because if they're cheating and you truly believe that you can catch them, you'll catch them when they compete with you, right?
They're trying to monopolize things, which we don't need to get too far into a tangent, but I'll just say that the Mr. America had 15 open bodybuilding competitors. The Yorton had 8.
Yep.
So,
and that wasn't 15 schmucks.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah.
No.
15 world-class top level bodybuilders.
Yeah, the top 6, it was deep.
All generations, that's the greatest thing too.
I think I was the youngest guy at the show, actually, which is funny, but
yeah, it was a really good lineup, and it drew a lot of good people. So I really think the Mr. A is a show to watch, a show to go to, even if you're not competing, because I think they're going to put on a really good, organized, well-run show, especially after they've got this first one under the belt, or I guess second one technically.
Yeah.
Since 2020.
Yeah, I think they're gathering momentum. So, so I placed 12th out of 15 that show, which I think I probably could have gone as high as maybe 10 or something like that. But end of the day, I beat 3 guys, and like I said, I just wanted to fit the bill. So, and that was my first show of the season. So, I was like, okay, 12th. Okay. Pro debut. Fine by me. But yeah, that was that show. And then I think I probably did some more work travel. I'm sure I did in the next 2 weeks. And then had the Yorton Cup, 2 weeks later, which was a Sunday show. Obviously the OCB's premier event of the year. I did classic physique in that show, which I originally won my pro card in classic physique. So I was like, I'm going to do classic in the show. They ran that show in cohorts, or in segments, which meant that we were, first, the whole thing. But James is awesome and came in the night before, and and hung around with me for the next the day of the show and all that stuff. So he knows all this stuff. He's the man for that. But which I liked, though. I liked how they broke it up into segments. They kept things, organized, and shorter for the the audience, and for the competitors, like to the point, like in general. Shows can drag. Like Mr. America did drag. Like, to be blunt, it did drag. But in New York, they kept it on schedule too. Like, they started on time. They finished, I think they even finished the first segment like 15 minutes early or something like that, which is tremendous. So
which is crazy too, because you and I both know, since we were there, that first class,
the open bodybuilders
were on stage for like 27 minutes or something.
Yeah, it was about 30 minutes, which they were rushing. I was in right after that, and they were rushing us, like right when they got the bodybuilders. I said, "Oh, you guys got to line up, get ready, get ready." And then we waited backstage for like 30 minutes. But they did, had a long call out for that. So I think there were 8 guys in that class. But classic physique was a big in that show. They broke it up into two groups. I don't know, A and B, or 1 and 2, whatever. I was in the first group, which I don't know how they assigned it, but two groups of 10. So went through that show. I don't know if you have any comments on that show, or you were there, so, or anything to add.
I think you hit on it. I mean, it was well run,
placements and the stuff like that. But
I mean, I think we dove into that a little bit. I mean, we did a slight recap of the Yorton. Some legends obviously competing in that show. Some placings that some people agreed with and didn't disagree with. But I mean, overall, I don't think any major hoopla or anything there. But like you said, it was to the T. Like, they kept everything moving.
Yeah.
That venue itself is a really cool venue too. Soldiers and Sailors. The stage and all that is fantastic. My only critique would be, like, you saw it backstage. It's tight. It's really tight, as opposed to Mr. America, where you had like this giant ballroom where you could kind of spread out and claim your own spot. So
that was great in Mr. America. Like, because technically, maybe I'll get in trouble for this, but like, I brought my brother and my friend backstage. I'm like, there's so much room back here. Like, they're not going to be in the way of anyone. Like, there's
Mhm.
so much room back here. But
Yeah.
yeah, it
Where
was
soldiers
tight
and sailors,
backstage.
you're like packed in a hallway,
Yeah,
packed in a hallway with like museum stuff that you really shouldn't be touching.
yeah, oh yeah,
So,
yeah. They
yeah.
were like on us about touching stuff, touch the walls. Yeah, which is fun. I'm
Mhm.
sure that the venue was pissed off by the end of the day, but you know,
Yeah.
but
But
yeah. So I
yeah.
ended up placing ninth out of 10 in that show, which I was a little disappointed in. I thought I think the way that they judged it, they kind of judged it by the way, they say they're going to judge it as, conditioning is less emphasized, which James, you can touch on where I place conditioning wise in that lineup.
I mean, I think you were hands down one of the most conditioned on the stage.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I think you kind of hit it on the tee there. The OCB has, whether you like it or not, they have kind of stuck to their guidelines for classic physique, where they go a lot more for the shape, the posing, and just like
Yeah.
a more, not less condition, right? Because they're not telling people to not come in sharp, but it's just a different look.
Yeah,
And
like
they
I don't
really,
like to be blunt, to be fair, I don't think my conditioning hurt me. Like I think it helped me, but it
Mhm,
didn't overcome some shortcomings that
mhm,
I just don't I just like in hindsight, I don't know that my physique fits super well into classic.
mhm,
Like I don't have that like great fullness through the chest and the arms that a lot of these guys
mhm.
do.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got a good frame in terms of like wide clavicles. And then my quad development's good, but that isn't really that looked at that closely. I feel like in classic, there's no mandatory most muscular.
Mhm,
The only time you could see kind of that X frame is in the really in the front relax, which I think I probably did okay in, but
mhm,
um, it's those side shots that really can, you know, make or break you, which I think I could have done a lot better on my front relax, drawing my waist in. Some of these guys had really tight waist from the side
mhm,
too, which
mhm,
I don't have a crazy tight waist. I could have drawn it in more, that's for sure, but and twisted a little bit harder. But um, you know, that's just kind of like, okay, maybe I
mhm,
should just, I think open bodybuilding is probably a better fit for me because I know I know I looked tighter and better at the Orton than I did at
mhm,
the Mr. America. I was a few pounds lighter and my conditioning was definitely better.
mhm.
Like I said,
Yeah.
it was good at the Mr. America, but it was definitely even better. Which again is funny because the stage photos don't show that. But
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
look tighter. I look tighter at Mr. America, but I can tell you I wasn't.
Mhm. Well, I think that's going to be like a reoccurring theme because it's the kind of the same with the photos and the lighting and everything. I'm just laughing because I'm thinking of your gym photo and your Crocs and PJ pants after was that the Monster Mash, your
After
last
the
show?
Monster Mash and then looking at the
Yeah.
Monster Mash photos. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The comparison between the lighting on stage and the photos on stage versus like you looking absolutely like diced to the gills under the gym lighting
Yeah.
afterwards.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 But yeah, that was
But
that
yeah,
show.
so
We had a good Permanis sandwich after, which James got
yeah.
to see how much, I was like enjoying that.
Yeah,
But
that was your first. I mean, you prepped for a long time, so that was your first like off plan meal in
yeah,
quite
yeah,
some time, I'm sure.
it was. It
So,
was. I ate a lot that day too, in general. But
and if you don't know what we're talking about, if you're across the pond there, sorry, you probably won't ever get Permanis unless you go to Pittsburgh. But if you're in the U.S. and you ever make it to Pittsburgh, you have to eat a Permani
I have
sandwich.
to eat a Permanis
Um,
sandwich.
it's
And
just like an obligation, and
and
you won't
also
regret
as a
it.
side note, and all the meats are good. Like some people
Mhm,
debate about what meats are like the real Permanis experience. Get whatever meat you like,
mhm.
but do not ask for it without the fries and the coleslaw. Fries and coleslaw.
Yeah, I mean that's what makes it.
Yeah.
Like,
The coleslaw is their coleslaw is the best coleslaw hands
mhm,
down on the market. It's more of a vinegary coleslaw, which I like, but
mhm,
I think I've never had coleslaw that's better than that. It's not like a super like crazy calorie. It's just calorie dense, like
yeah,
fat laden thing. It's vinegary. It's tangy. It's
mhm,
good. It's just I got a side of it, that
yeah,
too, in
yeah,
addition to
yeah.
the sandwich. But anyways, yeah, that's enough food talk for now. But
Yeah,
for
yeah.
Manny's,
So
highly recommend. But that was
That's the Yorton wrap. Yep. And then where'd we go from there?
more work travel, I think. And then 2 weeks later did the Monster Mash, the INBF Monster Mash, which is my first INBF slash WNBF show. That was a Saturday show up in Worcester, Massachusetts, near Boston. So got to meet up with a handful of guys up there. Stayed with Josh, which was cool, in an Airbnb. Met up with Chris Barricott, competed at the show. Nathan Hatley, my friend Araldo, yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of, it was crazy how many people I knew at that show. But that was a Saturday show. To be honest, I was not particularly impressed with how organized it was. Just a flurry of emails like that were all over the place. Just kind of long, lengthy emails, and we had polygraph here, tanning here, venue here. It was just all over the place.
And when you say here, I know this. I'm going to clarify for the viewers or listeners, however you want to say it. When he says here, different locations, not even different times, not even different locations within the same building. You guys were driving all over the place to get to multiple different locations for multiple different things, which I know would drive me absolutely crazy. And I would just be so anxious about that.
Yeah. And I think some of them were at the host hotel. I think that the polygraph technically, I think, was at the host hotel.
Okay.
But the tanning was off site, and then the venue was at the DCU Center, which is another site. But it was just all over the place, and scheduling that and organizing that, and and there was an athletes meeting the day before the show, which was scheduled so that was a Friday athletes meeting, which was scheduled on Thursday. We're told about it on Thursday. It was a Zoom athletes meeting. It wasn't really mandatory, but it's it was 7 p.m. and I mean Josh got in an hour before it or something like that. So I'm sure there were people that were traveling that couldn't make it, but overall organization could have been definitely better. A lot of things ran late too, and this is me kind of expressing my honest thoughts. I mean, everything I've heard is the INBF holds themselves to the highest standard, and I didn't fully see that. I mean, I didn't see anything super crazy, but things ran late, and when I say ran late, I mean started late. They were starting late. It wasn't like things it take longer. The polygraphing, the person wasn't there. They were there late, which that person was extremely rude and horrible person. You should fire her. But the one downstairs, there was she whatever checked you in and got your paperwork and asked you a few questions, and then you actually went upstairs to do your polygraph. The person that did the polygraph, super nice, super nice. The person downstairs, nasty person. I'm sorry, but she was nasty. And James, I'm pretty tolerant of people. I'm generally easy to get along with most of the time, but she was just not a nice person. But anyways, like I said, the person upstairs, polar opposite, great. But when they actually did the polygraph. But anyways, that's that. I don't need to get too deep into that. But and then the next day the show started up late. They were I think running a little bit behind with the tanning and stuff like that. But the show started late. Overall, I competed I weighed in pretty heavy. I was 165 or something, but I really had to pee, really had to pee. So that was right at the cutoff of middleweights. So I ended up not being in Chris Barricott's weight class. But so I snuck into middleweights and then peed, and I was probably 3 pounds under or something. But competed at middleweights, which was a class of 3 of us. Pretty solid class. Took second in that class. I honestly think I'm not upset with how it was judged. I thought I could have won that class though, straight up. I could have, and when I say that, the way that I executed, I don't know that I deserve to win a class, but I think I could have done better with my posing, which I got that feedback. I could have done better in my side shots. I got beat on posing because the guy that beat me was bigger than me. Dude, his quads were just, and you saw the photos, like
I've seen the photos. Yeah, his quads were
disgustingly
ridiculous.
large. Like
it's like natural Tom Platz.
like
Yeah.
ridiculous. So he was bigger than me. Definitely beat him on conditioning, but he beat me on size, and so that was like, that left it down to posing, and to be blunt, he outposed me. So that's on me. I've got to do better on posing. If I do better on posing, I think I win that class. But yeah, so that was that. Another thing that they did, which I didn't like, which is just kind of rinky dink, they handed, and Chris I know is quite displeased with this, is that they handed out and announced the awards for each class backstage because they didn't have time or something like that. I don't know. It was bullshit. Yeah, it was Chris, maybe we get Chris on. We should get Chris back on. But
he was pretty opinionated the first time, so this ought to fuel him up a bit.
he
so
was
you
not
mean to say that, like, while
led
on stage they did not announce 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
That was
whatever.
the weird part, is that they did it backstage and then they went on and announced it like on it was really bizarre how they did it. Like it was just like, and Chris let the promoter know, like he let her know backstage. He was not happy. And Chris, I think we were talking before the show, he had mentioned that they had done that before for other shows in the past, and he specifically said don't do that, and they did that. So that was like, nah, that's just like, what the hell are you doing? Sort of thing. That's fully within their control. That was just, I don't
Interesting.
I did not
I'd
get
love
that.
I'd love
Rather
to
than
hear
having
his
that
thoughts
full
on that
on
one.
stage experience, announce your name and finding out, then it's like you're finding out backstage, which is funny because Chris won his class and was pissed.
Well, it takes it away, right? I mean, that's like,
it takes away from the moment,
the thrill of it. How many, you see those like awesome responses when the person like finally wins their pro card, or all that stuff, and they're up on stage. It's between 1 and 2, and it's tight. And yeah, I mean that's an experience.
I think they did do
the
announcement for the pro card, like when they did the overall. I think they did do it on stage. So I think they did do that right. I wasn't up there, and I'm trying to recollect, but I think they did that one right. Okay. So I can't guilt them on that. But overall, and Chris has gotten into this, based on the stage photos, we all looked 12 weeks out. We all looked fat, soft, watery, spilled, which is just fun. Again, that's something you've got to get right. I'm sorry, but you've got to get that right. And you touched on it, what I look like, in the gym and under the good lighting. Shout out to Devin for finding the half natty lighting for me, which he's awesome for that. And he's like, stand there. I want you to you need to come over here. I found good lighting. Take your shirt off and stand right here. I was like, okay. I was like, awesome. Kind of like, I don't know. I'm like, nah, but that's a good idea. And now in hindsight, I'm like, that was a good idea. Thank you, Devin. You're the man for that. Yeah. But yeah, it was just like, it is what it is, but it's disappointing. That's something I think you've got to get right. And I think in general, I mean, from everything I've heard, is the IMBF, and you can kind of tell I'm a little like about the IMBF, where they kind of, I don't say claim, but kind of seem to want to hold themselves to like the highest standard of bodybuilding. And that weekend was, it was, it wasn't, I didn't see any like shady shit or anything like that, but the overall organization and the attention to detail was not there. It was not there. But and we can get more into that, and you can get Chris's opinion on that too. But I know gone back and forth that he echoes similar sentiments on some of those things. And I don't want to turn this into the bashing organizations, but I am getting, seeing, I don't know, more sides of organizations than I have in the past. So, but yeah, that was the last show of my season. So, did a few photo shoots after that, and a few weeks after. I was quite a bit heavier after eating a lot. I'm getting to the point where I'm finally getting my hunger and appetite under control. But I've had a handful of binges and just like off the rail shit since then, which is my stomach is bottomless. And to put it into context, the day of the Monster Mash, I allowed myself to just enjoy food and just like eat, kind of like I didn't have any binge episode, and I put back 7,000 calories. I looked because I logged it. I'm like, holy shit, I ate 7,000 calories. I'm like, I ate that comfortably. Like there was just no binging. It was just like, eat good sized meals. Like we had, went out to a grill afterwards with Chris and his family, which thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Barricott, because they paid for our entire table. They are awesome for that. Because it was a big table. There were a lot of us. I mean, Josh was there, and Devin and Jake came along too. Josh's parents were there, and then obviously Chris and some of his friends as well. It was a big table, and thank you so much to you guys. But like I don't know, I ate like, what did I eat? The cheesesteak, some Brussels sprouts, a cup of soup, a little bit of flatbread, but that adds up. I did scarf down a couple candy bars after the show, Josh and I, wish I brought Josh's kryptonite, which is Reese's Cups. I'm allergic to Reese's Cups, so I brought him Reese's Cups. I had I don't even know, what was it, a salted caramel Twix, which I'd been eyeing up for a while, but and a Milky Way. But anyway, so I ate that, and then I don't even know what I trained after that.
You guys went to that gym.
Went to the gym, which that Impact Fitness Auburn. If you're ever up that way, that's an awesome gym. Awesome gym. Highly, highly recommend it. And then had some food after that, and then or like a post training meal. I think I grabbed like a protein shake and I don't even know, whatever they had in like the vending machines or whatever. And then Josh and I got some Mediterranean food, which I got like a Mediterranean bowl or whatever. And like a side beet salad, I think. And then we went to Walmart and a blue light blockers, and I got 2 pints of Halo Top, or I think a pint of Halo Top, pint of Enlightened, and ate
I think it's still so funny, like
that and a full stack of rice cakes.
Season's over and you're still buying Halo Top and stuff like that, and you just ate like a salad and like.
I ate two pints though. Yeah, dude.
Still, like get the real stuff,
dude. I put 7,000 calories back, like eating like that. Think about that.
Eating like still somewhat like realistic foods.
Like nothing really that reckless, other than like a couple candy bars. Like, I mean, I sure a cheesesteak, but like I had soup and vegetables alongside it, and like that bowl of whatever, the Mediterranean bowl was like full of vegetables and stuff like that, and the salad was beets. It was just huge, but literally bottomless. But like and I was like, holy shit, I ate 7,000 calories. I mean, that was like obviously estimated, but I always log that stuff to, but anyway,
just out of curiosity.
That was fun.
All right, so everything's you kind of hinted that you've been fighting with a little bit of the binges, but getting back to some sort of normalcy. Now I know like you're still locked in with your training, everything. You don't ever really go off the rails. So what's the future holding? What do you think? What are your plans?
So I mean, take a good bit of time off here. I need a good recovery phase. Physically, physiologically, I haven't had I'm gonna be blunt. I haven't had a sex drive since like July. So, that's kind of been my marker of my hormones are all over the place. So, I don't know. I'll probably feel recovered by like, I don't know, April, maybe March, probably March. like 100% probably by like March-ish.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm actually I'm less distracted though right now, which again we can get this is probably TMI, but I kind of like it, so I'm actually like I don't really want that back, but the rest of the stuff can come back. But yeah, anyways, I'm less distracted now. But yeah, probably won't compete until probably 2024 ish, something like
Mm-hmm.
that. I haven't really thought that far ahead, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, in terms of training's been been good. Honestly, I didn't really experience that like post show, and AJ made a post about this, like that post show like really massive dip in training motivation. Um,
Mm-hmm.
that I definitely did in 2018. I definitely remember it, 2018. And I mean, like, it's not like I didn't experience some like small little drop, but like, I was like, oh, I actually am not really that, crazy unmotivated. I didn't feel like unmotivated to train, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think, yeah, we can cover that at another point in time. But I think I rely less on like rage and emotion these days,
Mm-hmm.
than I used to. Uh, which I mean I do channel it occasionally, but I use it I think a lot more sparingly than I used to.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think probably had an impact. I could be off base, but and Josh and I had this discussion like in terms of like I listen to music in the gym, but like I've realized like especially in the last like few like year or two that I don't really pay as much attention as I used to the actual music that's going on in my ears. Like I'm just
Mm-hmm.
locked into my execution, just thinking about execution. Um, that at the beginning of sets they get me amped up on certain movements, like
Mm-hmm.
usually my like lower body compounds. That's about it. But I don't really need I don't need to get amped to do like a lat pull down.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe a little bit going like for like a heavy ass pull up, which because I can load up a fair bit of weight around my waist, but nothing reckless though. But
Mm-hmm.
anyways, that um, I think has helped me kind of manage that psychologically. Didn't really get massive post show blues. I had like a couple little things where I'm like, wow, it's over. I'm a little disappointed it's over. And I was looking through photos. It definitely hit me at one point. Like at one point, um, like I was scrolling through like holy shit, like I got feathered quads and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
and now it's like I'm not chasing that anymore. Like and now I'm just it's gone, it's done. It's like the feathered
Mm-hmm.
quads are fading and I'm like, no. But that was a short-term thing, fleeting. I was pretty like I don't want to say depressed, but down about it for I don't know, maybe like a half hour or so, whatever, but an hour, whatever it was. But
Mm-hmm.
um, it nothing super crazy. I've handled it better psychologically than I did in 2018. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the food has been like bottomless. Like I'm still finally getting back to like somewhat of a normal hunger, but yeah, it's that's been the trickiest part for me. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah, and it's a fine balance, right? Because you don't want to continue to deprive yourself because it almost like is a negative feedback loop, but you also can't lose control either.
yeah,
And you see people on either ends, right? It's the people that take it to the extreme where they gain like a quarter pound of weight a week for the next like 10 weeks until they're like recovered maybe like a year and a half out, down the road,
yeah,
versus the people that just like binge for 3 weeks and then now like, all right, great, you now need to cut again,
yeah.
but your
You're like
hormones aren't
30
ready
pounds
for it.
up. Yeah, yeah.
So there's
'Cause
definitely a
there's a
balance.
middle bound. I mean, to be fair, like on paper, like I've done okay because I'm up like what 11 pounds in like 4 weeks, whatever, which really is not, I don't think anything that bad. That's like 11 or 12 pounds from my like lowest prep weight too, which is 157. Um, so realistically, I'm really not doing that bad, but it could have been, I'd say less, less of this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well,
And, but, you know, I
We'll
don't
call
know.
them like aggressive off-season refeeds.
Yeah, I had some aggressive refeeds where I would just
Yeah,
at the end of the day, I would just like wake up at night, middle of the night, and be like, I'm hungry, and I go to Sheets.
there you go. Man, Sheets is a deadly weapon.
I love Sheets
You
in
can
general.
overeat very easily there. That's for sure. That's been like two of my post-show meals, if you will, because I'm always traveling for them. Like I'll just go to Sheets and just like load up on all their food, put it in the passenger seat next to me, and just like eat the entire way home.
It's I love Sheets. The MTOs
Mm-hmm.
are so good. What's your go-to? I mean, I guess it
So
depends. They have so much stuff though. It probably really
they do.
depends on
I mean, if I
context.
had to like, if there's one thing that I crave, or like one combination of things, I
You probably say mac
love.
and cheese bites.
I was gonna say Wisconsin cheddar bites.
I've never had the mac and cheese bites,
Yeah.
and it's probably for the best.
Mm-hmm. They're
But
good. They're good.
but
But those, and then
I digress.
the grande breakfast burrito. And I'm talking like the one with like two tortillas with the cheese in the middle, and then you get like guac and sour cream and cheese and
I don't
eggs
think I've
and
done that
sausage
one.
and
I've
like,
done
oh
I've
my
done the
god,
wraps.
it
I've done the
is.
breakfast. The breakfasts are really good.
Mm-hmm. Breakfast is the go-to. I'll get it regardless of what time, like because
Mm.
I only pass by Sheets when I drive like back to Maryland or if I'm traveling. So it's like 4 p.m. I don't care. I'm getting a breakfast burrito. It's all good.
It's good. Sheets is great. They actually have a lot of like macro friendly options too, which
Yeah, yeah, they
I've
do.
taken full
I've
advantage of that. Like their salads are very good. And if
mm-hmm.
people for people who don't understand, Sheets is like a convenience store, but it's way more than a convenience store.
Made to order food within a gas station, but like not just your like gross pit stop gas station.
Yeah,
Like it's a, it's good. They
they're
started
nice.
out, I think, as a deli that like sold gas, and then I've just grown from there.
Yeah, it's a
So
family
yeah.
owned business. I'm a big fan of their business in general, but
Mhm.
I'm very very partial to Sheets. I love Sheets. Yeah, their
Yeah.
food is phenomenal. I'll say that when I'm fat too.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. I still eat there when I can. Way better than Wawa. So all you people from Philly can shove it because Wawa's terrible. They have no options and the
see,
food's garbage.
I will disagree with you on the Wawa is terrible. Wawa is good. I
Not
think
a fan.
Wawa is good, but Sheets is better.
Yeah. Sheets all the way.
I
But
can't hate on Wawa. I actually like Wawa, but I love
that's
Sheets.
blasphemy. You can't like both. And you can't be from Pittsburgh and like Wawa.
Oh, but I Sheets is better though. But no, I'm being
Where
objective.
yeah, yeah.
I think Wawa is decent. I
We're
think
going
it.
down the rabbit hole now because like 99% of our viewers are not
Oh,
from the
I've
Pennsylvania
triggered
area.
everyone in the
So
spectrum because I've triggered the
yeah.
Pittsburgh people that hate
Mhm.
Wawa. I've triggered the Philly people that think Wawa is better than Sheets. So I've triggered everyone.
Yeah.
Probably triggered everyone. If you're
Mhm.
listening to this and you haven't been triggered, leave a comment below.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're still listening to us ramble on about just like random stuff at this point. So we're probably actually pretty close on time. So let's wrap it up with something actually to leave the viewers with some a takeaway here. So from
Mhm.
I mean, your season was a long season. You had a lot of ups and downs. You had a lot of travel that you managed through it. You competed in a lot of federations. Leave us with a gem. What's one takeaway, even if just reflecting for your own merit, because that may help someone else.
One takeaway. That's tough. Well, I won't get too deep unless you want something super deep. But I mean, I think it's a good idea. I think to when you're picking out shows to get some feedback on the shows, and it doesn't always matter as much what organization is putting on the show as it does the actual promoter who is promoting the show. And
Mm-hmm.
I really suggest, and again, Jeff and I've discussed this in detail. Chris and I discussed this in detail. Chris Barricott, that I think that the promoter is what matters the most in terms
Mm-hmm.
of who's putting on the show. Ask around, say, hey, have you competed in the show, or find people that have competed in the show or competed with this promoter. Obviously we touched on like there's sketchy shit that goes on in some organizations and some promoters, but some promoters aren't necessarily sketchy, but they just don't put on a
Mm-hmm.
great show. Or sometimes it may not even be the fault of promoter. They have a venue that's tough, or tough circumstances, and you know, had to switch venues or have to switch venues every year. You know, it can make things tricky or that sort of stuff. But you know, that's what
Mhm.
I would say is it doesn't
Yeah.
always matter as much what organization is putting on the show as much as it does, you know, who's promoting it, where it's being, you know, where it's being held, all that
Especially
fun stuff.
especially at the amateur level, and even more especially at the debut level, right? You want a good experience. So do your research, talk with the people that have been there within the organization or within, you know, that specific show. Yeah, because there's fantastic promoters across lots of different federations. You
Mm-hmm.
can agree or disagree with the politics behind some of the decisions with different things, but if you're new, that you're not aware of it and it doesn't matter to you. And to an extent, like some of that doesn't matter if you're just doing it for the experience anyway. So
But
yeah,
if you're doing
yeah,
it
I
for
would
the
say.
experience, I mean, I mean, at least look into how the show lighting is and how the
Mhm,
contest photography is. I think
mhm,
that's definitely worth
mhm.
digging into.
Because that's your takeaway. You know, you get
Yeah.
a trophy, you get some photos, and you get an experience and the people that you meet. So yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
do your
and
due
everyone wants to
diligence for
have those
sure.
photos to look back on and to post. I mean, it's, you know, I mean, this sport is very social media oriented.
Mhm.
You know, to have
Yeah.
those is huge. So that's probably my biggest takeaway is that, you know,
Mhm.
do
I like
the,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
All right. Well, I think that's a good place to wrap it up. People hopefully by now know where to find us. It's tagged in every single one of our videos. But yeah, thanks Dan for chatting, and
yeah, thanks
that's
for
the wrap
moderating
for.
me and keeping me on track too.
I did do too much. I think we, all in all, kind of kept it pretty well contained. This is better than the infamous wedgie scandal that was cut from our filming. I'll leave that there. Leroy can decide whether he wants to cut it again or not. Um,
We'll see if he cuts me at all.
yeah, yeah.
Hopefully not.
Yeah, so we should do like a deleted scenes one of these at some point. But yes, that is
I
it
have the
for this.
recording too this time, so
Yeah, yeah.
Leroy,
That is it for this week's episode
I
of
have
Natty
the
News
power.
Daily.
I have the
Yeah,
power.
Dan has the power. Like, subscribe, share. The awards that we're doing this week, this will probably be the next week that you guys see this video, but that has really been like boosting the follow rate, but we're still not at that 10,000 where we get the cool swipe up feature and all that fun stuff. So let's get there so we can spread the word a little bit better.
And we've got lots
And
of cool
thank you
plans
guys for
for when we
tuning
hit
in.
10K too. So
Oh yeah, yeah, we do.